Hey, this is Amanda with Dusty Trail RV, and today I wanted to make a quick video demystifying one of the more glamorous aspects of RV life, dumping your sewage. As crazy and as overwhelming as that may seem to some people, it's actually a very simple process. It can be done in a very clean way, and once you get used to it, it just becomes a regular part of your routine. I'm going to go over what the tanks are, what sensors and systems are put into place, how to hook up your RV to a sewer inlet, and then some hoses. And these are just the basic parts that you will need to start out your RV life. So let's start with discussing the tanks. In my particular setup, I have a black tank where the toilet water goes. I have two gray tanks. One of them is where my shower drains. The second one is where my kitchen sink drains. And then I have a third gray tank, and that's an auxiliary tank. And that is where I actually hook up my washer and dryer. So these are separate tanks. They cannot mix. You cannot accidentally have overflow into another one. Each of these tanks has a built-in ventilation system that vents to the top of your RV. This helps maintain airflow to pull out any of the odors that might be lingering in your tanks. And this applies to all tanks, but especially the black tank. You shouldn't dump these when they're less than 3/4 full. When the tank has solids in there, so you have toilet paper, you have human waste in there, the more water that's in there with all that, the less likely that waste is to solidify. Your tank is going to funnel your liquids like this, and then you're going to have your drain, right? So if you don't have enough water, the solids can actually compact here, and you can have a whole lot of issues. So it's really good to make sure you're flushing a lot of water. Everybody's usage is different. I tend to flush my tanks every 3 or 4 days. I don't use a ton of water. Sometimes I go longer than that. I am somebody that goes to the gym a lot, so a lot of times I shower at the gym, and I also shower at work, and I don't actively choose not to shower in my travel trailer to save water. It's just the way it ends up happening. So I don't actually have to drain them all the time. I'm going to start by showing you my control panel that has built-in sensors. A lot of newer travel trailers and RVs have this. Not all of them do. If you do not, then you just kind of have to get a feel for when your tank is going to be full. Alright, so here is my sensor panel. So up here, these are your actual lights. These are your buttons, okay? You have a fresh tank, so I don't fill that up very much. So it's always going to be empty. Okay, my battery, full. That's for my solar panels on my roof. Okay, now my black tank. It's reading 2/3 full. My gray one, that's going to be my shower. 2/3 full. My gray 2 is my kitchen sink. I know this one is full, but the sensor is not reading. It's saying that it's empty, but this is completely full. My auxiliary, that tank is beneath my washer dryer, and it's reading 1/3. This tank fills up the slowest of all my tanks, so I dump this tank maybe once every 2 or 3 dumps. I will take you outside and show you the setup. So here we are out at the back of my trailer. So a little trick I want to show you first of all. This right here is one of the best places you can hide in your working segment. So I'm going to start by showing you this. This is an attachment for sewer hookups. So I always have this and my sewer hose in here. I have a longer length and what I like to call a little pony section if I have a longer stretch to do. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to unhook it at the pony section because I don't need that much length. And now I'm going to hook it into the RV. I'm down here next to one of my 3 sewer hose hookups. I have 3 sewer hose hookups, but 4 tanks. And the reason this is, two tanks use this same attachment point. So first thing you want to do, make sure these are both off, push them in. I take this cap off and I hang it over the side. I use a Rhino sewer hose. They're great, they're really durable, they're really sturdy. I love them, I haven't had any problems with them. This is called a bayonet attachment. This has 4 points on here that will connect into here. So you'll find those grooves, rotate it, click it in, now you have your connection made. So now I'm going to show you how to connect this to the actual sewer. Now for our sewer hookup. I'm going to take this off. This is your sewer inlet cap. It can either look like this or it can have like a groove or an X groove in it. And sometimes there's tools that are needed to take those off. So now that's exposed. It's got threads on the inside of there. I like to use this. I screw that in like that. So then I turn that and match that with those. Okay. Now we're hooked up to the sewer and we're ready to start draining this hose. Now we're ready to start opening this and draining this black tank. So I take this black handled hose and pull it out, and the black tank starts draining out. I let that drain for a little bit, and then I take one of my extra hoses and I will hook up to my black tank flush, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what we have here is our city water connection. Underneath here we have what's called a black tank flush, and we have an extra inlet here. I take an old hose that got contaminated, but I only use it for black tank flush. I like to keep a Y, which allows me to have this split. It's a gated Y, so I have the ability to close each side here. So I don't have to unhook my water supply hose. I can just hook into this up here. I'll take the other end of the hose here. I hook this into the black tank flush. Now I'm going to take this gate and I'm going to open this. Now the black tank flush is going. You never want to do this unattended, and you never want to do this without the actual valve open, because it's filling water into this black tank to flush any residue down. So if you don't have this valve open, you can fill that tank up. It can actually flood your bathroom. So that black tank flush has been going about 10 minutes. I like having a 90-degree elbow that's clear on the end of this so that you can actually see the quality of your water. Now I'm going to turn my black tank flush off. So I'm going to disconnect that hose, and then I'm just going to let whatever residual water is in there drain completely off. When the water's pretty much done running, I'm going to close this black tank completely. You always want to close this before you open the next one. Okay? So then I'm going to go back here to this gray one and open that and let that one completely drain out as well. This one does not have to be flushed. It just drains, and then we're done when it is finished. The tanks are emptied, and now I want to clean out. So what I do is I take the end there, and I have this piece of equipment. It's a hose, and it has the same end here that this bayonet hooks into. So I'm going to hook that in like that. Make sure it's nice and tight. Then I'm going to hook my hose to the end of the hose that's hooked to the bayonet. All right, we're ready to go. So now this is flowing. We're hooked in, and we are basically flushing this. And you can see this water's coming out pretty clear. So this piece of equipment allows you to make sure that your sewer hose stays clean. This can get really dirty over time. So that's why I like to do this. I like to flush it, and I also like to cap both ends. When getting ready to load up the hose and store it, I always like to walk it. So lifting up the hose to make sure all the water drains into the sewer makes it a lot easier to keep clean and extend the life of your equipment. All right, now that the tanks are drained, I'm going to post links to the Rhino system that I use on my tank. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to visit my webpage and go to the Contact Us section and send me a message if you have any questions. Also, don't forget to subscribe.